Okay, I think we're back. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what happened. It just said, we're sorry, your live video has ended. Um, yeah, such a bummer. That was a deep conversation, and I don't even have a record of it. As I think it was is annoying me. It was annoying me right now. Um, Okay, I'm pulling it together. So we're just speaking with Kumbi's music company, and she was telling us about the foundation, her journey to starting the business. Yes, I mean we've been talking we've been on for about 10 minutes now. So and it just said, "Oh, your live video has ended," and it got cut off. I have no idea why. This is it's just annoying, to be honest. I do hope she comes back. So I'm just waiting for her to rejoin. Okay, thank you for coming back. Yes, already Art Academy was on there before. I'm trying to calm down. Not funny, not funny, not funny at all. Just waiting on Mrs. Oshinaiki to come back. She was just talking to us about, how she was in the UK. She was in an IT job. She started having children, and she started a job. She had a job where she was traveling. Her husband had a job where she was traveling, and they had come to the point where they had to make a decision to put their son in a school where he could go to from the age of 3. So right now, I'm just keen on her joining again. I'm breathing through it. I'm looking forward to her joining again just to talk us through. Oh, she's trying to come back. Okay, great. Um, so we're just. Oh yeah, she's back. Because I'm king, and I've also heard this thing around Mozart and having it early on, and I tried with my children, but it would be great to hear from someone who studied it deep. I didn't study it in depth. I just read it in an
Hi,
article.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened.
I
I don't
have
know whether
no
it's my
idea.
connection or yours. Yeah.
I,
Anyway, we're
anyways, yeah. So I was just giving a recap, and the painful part is we lost that part of the video.
okay.
But I think that I've tried, as much as possible to sort of give a
Yeah.
recap of
Yeah.
the journey so far, the why. And I was so you were at the point where you guys made the decision to put your son in school that he could go to from
Yeah.
the age of 3. And
That's
then,
right.
yes, that's where you stopped.
Yeah. 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 But it was a fee-paying school. And so the problem we then had was that when I looked at my salary and I looked at what I had to pay for his childcare and for the school, I thought, okay, I might as well just hand over my salary to the lady. And I'd always wanted to be able to look after my kids myself. I've always
Mm,
wanted to be able to do the school run. And so there was a part of me that thought, okay, perhaps, I could try and find something flexible. In the course of trying to find either childcare or flexible work, I came across an advert for somebody to start up another branch, a new branch of a music education company. It was focused on early years, music and movement in the part of the country that we're about to move to. So
interesting.
completely territory, very interesting. I think, the way God works, I just allowed, these things to kind of come at the right sort of timing. So I went for that. I applied, I was accepted. I had a
Oh,
background in music from childhood. The interesting thing was that I remember those years ago when I hated having piano lessons. And my father used to say to me, you have to have them. You need options. You're a woman. You need options.
wow,
And I just,
wow.
and I just thought, who I don't want to do this. But it just turned out that that was actually what came. It was right for me at that time.
For you. Mm.
I bought into the business, started the franchise. Within 6 weeks, I was running my first class. It was totally hectic. I was taking my son to school and bringing him back home, but honestly, I didn't have time to focus on anything else. So he'll come in from school and I'll just put him in front of the telly, and that was it. Because I had so much to do. It was a new town. I didn't know anybody. I had to do all the marketing. I really, although we were given, like a scheme of work to work with, I just had to do my own stuff. I'm very, very creative. And so I couldn't work
Mm.
with somebody else's stuff. I really had to infuse it with what I wanted to say, what I wanted to bring to the party. So I was working late nights.
Mm.
But I fell in love with the work, especially
Mm.
grew in confidence over time, and I began to see the impact it had on families. When families started to come to me with the second child, the third child, the fourth child, and I was
Mm.
there, her belly growing and growing, and then soon, she
The
disappears
little one
and
comes.
she comes into the car seat to the next one, and it was such a privilege. And many of my first students are now, at university or even graduated now. It's
Wow.
really been a really, really, what's the word? Fulfilling journey.
Fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, after a while, I started getting really itchy, thinking, I want to do this in Nigeria. So, like I said, I decided to sell up, came to Nigeria, and I started to see a similar process happen. My first few families, as the children got older, they were like, okay, so now we're starting to get too old for the early years work. What else can we
What
do?
next?
And yes, and so that's when I researched and I found some really good resources that was tailored for early beginners. So even pre-readers, they didn't even have to be able to read their letters.
Mm.
They could
Mm.
start to learn. And so, very colorful, so I started using that with quite a lot of success. I was also using the same resources with my children. And then because it's difficult to teach your own kids, but some of us who are
I
teachers, we
know.
know.
Emotions coming. I know.
Yeah. So I found a teacher that was actually using the same material and took my daughters there. You understand me? And I just saw how they just, loved it, how it spoke to them as, 4 and 5 year olds at the time. And that was the resources I was using, to sort of, start my early years, move them on into instrumental tuition. And in time, we kind of started to recruit more staff, and we started to offer more instruments as well. And so that's kind of like how we've grown organically over the last few years.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, wow, interesting. And how much of what was the uptake when you moved to Nigeria? I was going to say, how did you settle? What was the uptake? Was it a ground zero thing, or did you come with referrals from the
No, no, no,
UK? So
no, no,
ground
no, no.
zero from scratch.
Totally,
Wow.
totally down zero. In fact, my first few moms who found me, they were my champions. They're the ones that told their friends and got people, to start to sign up. But, there were many days when it was just me and my dear Miss B, who's been with me right from the beginning. It would just be the two of us, looking at one another, wondering, are there any children going to come in? At the time to hire a little space, use the store of one of the shops in Paloma Shopping Center. Uh,
Oh.
all toned down, and that's kind of where our base was. And sometimes we'll have one kid, sometimes we'll have two, that kind of a thing. But very, very slowly, I think the whole concept of music lessons for toddlers were just totally foreign. Totally, totally.
Yes.
They
Yes.
didn't get it. They didn't understand it, or they had very wrong preconceptions. They thought I was trying to raise the next Mozart. And not didn't understand the concept of music immersion as music as a tool for communication, for learning, that kind of a thing. So it was very culture shaping, so new.
Mm.
People couldn't get what it was, but I just thought this is a good thing. All children need this. I'm just going to keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I think the first time I heard about your company, or I heard about Kumbi's music company, because you also started going into schools, right?
Yes, we did.
Because
Yes,
I know
we
you
did.
used to do so it was a school that Nate, sorry. It
It's
was
all
a
right.
school where we had put Nathan for about a term, and
Okay.
I remember one of the sessions, they said, "Oh, we have this group from Kumi's Music Company." And I remember they came in with those little drums and all. And yes, so I think
Yeah.
you guys started round about the time, establishments like Pop Lagos also started. So
Yes,
the
yes,
concept
exactly.
of
Yeah,
music for toddler groups was it was new. But then there
yeah,
were a few of us who we didn't know of it, but we liked what we
yeah,
saw and we keyed
yeah,
into it. Now, you see this
yeah.
Mozart thing you mentioned. I actually wanted you to, I believe you've done a bit more research. I also heard
Mhm,
about it.
mhm.
And I remember that even when Nathan was in my belly, I would I would play instrumental music,
I
I
I
mean,
did. I
they've
did to
said
my children
they've
too.
said it makes them smart.
Mhm,
Let's give it a go, right? Like it can't
mhm.
hurt. It
Yeah,
really can't hurt.
yeah.
What's the truth in that? What's the science in it, and what's the truth
Okay,
in it?
okay. So there was a bit of research for a small group of people. I think it was children. I can't remember the original research really well. But I studied it because I did a certificate in early years music and movement. And
Okay.
what they did was that they played classical music, including Mozart. Most of it was mostly Mozart music. So one group of children and not to the control group. And then they got them to do certain exercises. Actually, it wasn't children. It was actually older. It was late teens or even university age kids that this research was done. But somehow along the line, the findings were mixed reported and misinterpreted a lot by the
Mm.
press, and I think also a little bit by some of the scientists involved. And basically, when people try to recreate that research, they found that the effects, there were some effects, but they were short-lived. And actually, they could recreate those effects with other things that were
Other
non-musical.
things.
Okay. And
Got it.
so it kind of, it was a bit of
Debunked.
a over exaggeration basically of the
Right.
situation. And it wasn't with children, it was with, I think it was university age people at the time.
University age people.
Yeah. But so the research has been redone and redone in lots of different ways. Now,
Mhm.
passively the music is not going to do anything for you, really, not very much.
Mhm.
Okay. You need to have an active involvement in creating the music, in creating the sound. And doing that, the act of actively making music is what makes a difference,
Right.
especially where you're having to use a structured format of learning, where you're reading off a page. So you're using your visual skills,
Visual
okay?
skills.
You're listening to the music you're making. So you're using your
Mm-hmm.
audio,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you're creating the music with your hands using your motor skills. So that
Yes.
triangle of your auditory, your visual, and your motor
Visual
skills
and motor
working
skills.
together, that is what is like a brain gym. That is what is different parts of your brain firing all together, having to work together. And now the research clearly shows that if you have structured music learning from a young age, before you're 7, okay, and you maintain it between 2 to 5 years, they find that the middle section, the bridge between the left side of your brain and the right of your brain in vision, is more developed than any other population in the world. So they
Right.
have a much better developed corpus callosum, which means that both sides of the brain can speak to each other faster. You can process information
Right.
faster. And this
Faster.
information is not limited to music. That's why you find a
Mm.
lot of scientists are also good musicians. Okay.
I
A
see.
lot of engineers are also musicians because
Mm.
their brain is able to work and process information at a faster speed. And music
Faster
training
speed.
is one of the only ways that helps that middle part of your brain form and develop so well. And so it's actually active music making that helps. When you have small children and
Mm-hmm.
they're engaged in singing, okay, and they're engaged in keeping a beat, okay, all right, all of those activities is helping them to regulate their impulses. You know,
Oh.
a baby is full of all these jerky movements, uncontrolled movements, okay? Music and learning to keep a beat, learning to keep a pulse is part of helping you to master your impulses, master your body. Okay. And
Mm.
all of that also helps you to become a better learner. It helps you to become more attentive in school. If you're
Mm.
having to listen for a beat, if you're having to respond in certain ways. When we do our music sessions, people mistake it for just a fun singing and dancing. It isn't. There's a whole
Mm.
there's a whole heap of structured listening and activities and demand they're making on those young children on their ability to interpret music and sound in their bodies and respond rhythmically to listening to. Do you understand me? And
Wow.
act based on those impulses. Also, singing lyrics, okay, and,
Mm-hmm.
and and just using music as a way of communication helps to improve your vocal skills, helps to improve your speech and language development. Children with speech delay are helped with music therapy through singing songs. In fact, in the week I've been speaking to a new family. One of the children has delayed speech, but she says the only time he strings a sentence together is when he's singing.
We're
Twinkle,
singing.
twinkle, how I wonder what you are. When he's singing it, he can say it as a sentence. As just words, he can't do it. That's the
Mm.
power. That is the power of music. And if you're able to put your children in that kind of environment right from the beginning, you are helping them to develop very far-reach skills that they're going to use in so many different ways.
Oh, wow.
Lost my nose again.
Okay, are you back? Okay, all right, she's back. I thought it was me. Okay, I thought it was me. All right.
I thought it was me. I don't know who it was. Okay, yeah. So so it's really a very it's I don't even know what to call it. It's a holistic way of helping your children to develop listening, social skills in a circle when you're making music with other children, and you have to wait your turn. Okay, you have to wait before you are given your instrument. You have to wait to give it back. You have to give it back, and you're learning these routines.
Learning those things.
Yeah. You're learning to work with others, to create sound. All of that is conditioning for school. And we find that children, and I'm part of a network of neuromusical educators.
Neuromusical educators. Can you shut
Yeah.
this door for me, please? I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're music educators who are really interested in the neurological impact of. Are you okay? Mommy, well done.
Please carry on.
It's not easy.
Please carry on.
So,
excuse me, you're interrupting my conversation.
Yeah, so
Please
so it's a discipline. It's a group of musicians who are interested in neurological impact of music learning on the learners. Okay,
Right.
and it's run by.
Musical organization that she belongs to.
Whether it's adults, every month she releases new paper, new research.
Okay.
She reports on research happening all over the world. So it's not necessarily just her research. Okay. Hello, are we together?
Yes, you're here. Yes, you're back now.
Yeah. So
okay, you're talking about adults. You're talking about the yes.
Yes. So one of the plagues that we have in society at the moment is inattention. Okay.
Inattention.
Inattention, because our children are using a lot of the stimulus that they're getting from TV, from computer games, means that they're getting instant gratification. Okay. So when we were little and we had to wait a little while, to see the end of a Ludo game or to finish a Monopoly game, everything. A lot of these games now, it's instantaneous. Okay. And it means that children are not learning how to concentrate for long periods of time.
Yes.
Yeah. And that conditioning, it's actually bad for the brain, because your brain has been wired to work in a different way. Their brains are being rewired by.
Sorry. Let me quickly. This thing about concentration, I thought I was the only one. Now, I'll tell you one thing I find very annoying. So when we have screen time, I find it so annoying when I get on YouTube. And so let's take Paw Patrol, for example, or Blaze and the Monster Machine. It's a 15-minute show. Then they show you a 30-minute compilation of 2-minute clips or 1-minute clips. And I'm like, wait, you don't even know the beginning of the story. You don't know how the problem came. You don't know what the solution was. You don't know. They're just showing you flashes. And I'm like, no, I don't want this for you. You need to be able to see through the process. You need to be able to understand why this happened. So I wonder, I used to worry, and I wonder at why do we then continue to produce these compilations, if there is research or knowledge or understanding about
because there are conflicting interests. So the guys who are producing this stuff, they need you on this system for as long as possible to show as many adverts as possible. That is how they make their money. There are people who are sitting in companies whose job it is to keep us glued and addicted to content online. Okay,
I ban my children. No, my children. Then you are not allowed to watch a compilation.
It works for children, it works for adults. How many of us go around glued to our screens? There are people whose job it is. That is their job, to keep us on
Wow.
as long as possible. And so, they find that, if they can give you lots and lots of different things, if they can track what it is you're interested in and keep feeding
Yeah.
that, the adverts that
Yes.
my children will see on their YouTube is different to my adverts because
Of
they have,
course, of course.
yeah, they
Yeah.
have mastered the
Yeah.
art of following,
Or you could get YouTube Premium and be ad free. I'm like,
Yeah, you could. You
yes.
could. I'm not
I'm
a
like, I don't
YouTube
even want ads. Don't
enough
worry
to
about
justify
ads.
that.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what did you say?
I'm not on YouTube enough to justify,
Oh, okay,
a
okay.
premium
I
subscription.
remember
Yeah.
the first time my children saw ads. We were in someone's house and they're watching to YouTube. And like, Mommy, what's that? I'm like, oh, okay. And we're so used to, because
Yeah.
I can't deal. I just can't
Yeah.
deal with them, you know.
I,
But okay, so sorry, back to the topic of, the
yeah.
importance of just concentration and how music, helps all of that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how, engaging in those activities that encourage your long-term concentration just helps your brain be
Yeah.
wired in in a, should we say,
Efficient.
better way,
Much more
more
efficient.
efficient way, more
More
efficient way.
efficient. Yeah.
So for the benefits of the homeschooling or home educating
Mm.
families here, why shouldn't we watch the compilations, or why shouldn't we do things that don't encourage our long-term concentration so that we can make the right choices?
Well, the reality is, think about what the future that your children are heading towards. I, because of my background in economics, I'm very interested in a lot of, stuff talking about, what the world is going to look like in the future. So I read the
Shh. Please.
research published by the World Economic Forum. Okay.
Okay.
And they published research in the last couple of years looking at the future of work and the future of jobs.
Right.
And they're very clear that the rate of technological advancement means that whoever is at university today, by the time they are graduating, what they have learned is obsolete already.
Yes.
Because technology is moving at a pace beyond what our universities can keep up with.
Right.
So what are a lot of companies doing?
I'm here. I can hear you.
Yeah, no problem. A lot of companies have their own in-house academies. If you're going to join any of the big, whether it's manufacturing companies or, Coke, all of them, they all have their graduate academy. Why? Because they know that by the time your graduates are joining, they're at ground zero. I would tell you that you can join our program regardless of which degree you have. What they're looking for is flexibility of thinking, okay? Your ability to learn. And so the skills that are going to be the most demand in the future, it's not the latest coding software necessarily, because by the time you finish learning it, you have to go and learn
Something
the next
else is there.
something
Yes.
else that's taken place. It's how quickly can you learn what is there? How flexible are you? How creative are you? How much of a problem solver are you?
Right.
Can you look at a piece of information and be able to look at it from lots of different angles? Can you take in lots of different information and make sense of it?
And make sense of it.
That is
Right.
what they're looking for. And all of that speaks to your cognitive skills as
That
opposed
music
to any
helps with.
particular technical skills. And musical training builds your cognitive skills. It builds your executive function skills. It builds your creativity, your creative skills, your flexibility of thinking. All of that comes out of a properly well-structured music program will give you all of those skills so that by the time you are sitting in a boardroom somewhere, okay, and they're coming at you with, well, in China, this is happening, in Kineko, this is happening, you're able to assimilate everything.
You can connect. Right.
You can make the connections that other people can't make. And so people are looking for people who can learn. They're looking for evidence that you can learn. Not so much what you have learned, but evidence that you can learn and that you're flexible. You understand? And so we really need, and one of the things that hits me when I read that report, because they looked at the future of jobs in Africa, and they said how the African continent lacks creative thinkers. They said even though we are so incredibly populous, we lack independent thinking. We're not trained to think for ourselves. We're not trained to think critically. We're not trained to think creatively. We are more used to just following the leader. Now, this is a generic statement about Africa as a whole. I don't think
Right.
Nigerians necessarily fit comfortably in that category. But from my husband, he travels a lot. His experience of lots of different African countries, I can say that there are some African countries that it's true. Initiative is not a thing. Initiative is not a thing. If they tell you in that corner, they will stand in that corner. No matter whether it's raining, whatever is happening, they will stand there and not think that, does this now make sense? Why should I? They wouldn't even challenge it. Do you understand? And so what you really, really need is to give your children an opportunity to be creative thinkers, to be able to be confident in their own ideas, to be able to get you to the process of generating their own ideas and being confident in their own ideas and being able to use their voice. Okay, and being able to speak up for what they believe in and be confident to stand in a room full of anybody and say what is on their mind. When a child prepares for a music concert to play in front of people they don't know, they're already practicing.
Oh, okay. I think the internet has gone off again. So just to keep the conversation going, so we're just talking now about the importance of, creative skills and the relevance of the things that we're learning now, and how that will be relevant in the future, near or far. Okay. Yes, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. And I find this particular area that we're touching on very interesting. And, as you spoke and you were talking about the research and the findings in Africa. So I wonder, and I think that we're going slightly off topic, but I'm loving this conversation, to be honest. I wonder if it's because we're trying to learn a different way. Because if we look back at our culture, the variety of culture and tradition, all of that creativity is there. I started to learn to play the talking drum 2 or 3 years ago. And when I think about the talking drum, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Yoruba. Yoruba has 3 sounds. Every single Yoruba word ever is made up of 3 primary sounds, right? Sometimes they're blend, sometimes they're distinct. So the fact that a musical instrument, and the way that musical instrument is made with strings, etc. And I don't think the person who made the talking drum saw the violin or the guitar before it was invented. So that creativity, is in us as Africans. If you just think about the variety of African musical instruments and things like that. So I think where the struggle is how we haven't then propagated or enhanced our own. We've allowed the foreign education sort of,
so can I just tell
not
you
allowed us express.
Yeah. So one advantage that the foreign music had over us is the fact that it was written down. Okay. And that made it easy to transmit from one generation to the next. We relied on word of mouth.
Another. True.
We relied on word of mouth.
Yes.
Unfortunately, when you take a huge, you take out, a few million people out of their native country, somewhere else, okay? You leave a huge gap. There's a break in transmission. So a lot of our culture has been dispersed, okay? For those of us, it's been very tragic, our story. But the fact that we haven't had a lot of our own music written down, we don't have our own way of, notating our music or whatever, we've lost a lot, okay? We've lost a lot. And you're absolutely right in that the same way, the Westerners were creating violins, we had our own stuff that we were creating, the Chinese have their own stuff they were creating, the Chinese have
all over the world.
It's all over the world. But we've been hampered in transmitting that within our society.
Yes.
That needs to be addressed. Needs to be addressed. Yeah. We have a lot of amazing people who are doing amazing work. A lot of the work I've seen is at the esoteric level. It's for scholars. Okay, it's
Mm.
for people who are doing doctorates and so on in music. It doesn't
Mm.
yet filter down to our kids. Somewhere along the line, God give me the grace. I would love to be able to translate that so that when our
Mm.
children are learning, they're not just learning Beethoven and Mozart, they're also learning, our own people's music, our own folk songs. They're also learning to
Right.
play on,
Ex-
but written down so that it can be, so they can then share it with their children. You understand me?
mm.
And their children can also share to our children. We just need a huge body of work to transcribe our music in a way that makes it accessible to as
I'm,
many
I'm
people.
I'm looking forward to that work happening because I'm just thinking about my Gogon lessons, and I'm like, how is that going to be translated? Like, if you
Yeah,
don't even speak the language in the first place, if you don't speak
yeah.
and understand Yoruba, if you can't make those intonations and things, then good
You
luck to
have to
you.
take
But let's
advantage.
bring
But it
this.
doesn't mean it's impossible because there are many
No, 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 it
Europeans
doesn't.
that
No, 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 it
play
doesn't mean it's
Gogo.
impossible. No,
There are
no, no. I
many
mean, it's
Europeans that
language
play.
learning, right? Music
Yeah,
itself is language. Music
it
itself
is.
is
It's a
language,
language. It
right?
is a
So
language.
let's bring all of this back, to the home educating family. Um, and so, I mean, I made a conscious effort before I ever introduced my children to pianos or guitars or anything like that. We did gogon, we did shekere, and we did the akuba first.
Okay.
Because I'm very big. I'm very big on them understanding their roots and all. So we had a band who would come and they would teach the folk songs. And for me, it was also a way of teaching them the language, the spoken language. Um, so now we do piano. Unfortunately, we're in a space where we can no longer have those lessons, and I continue to search for that
Okay.
space where we can restart them. But
Mm.
I'm bringing this back to a family who's looking for solutions. So they're listening to you now. All of the importance of music from a very very early age. The child is never too young, as I've come to learn as well.
Never.
Even the importance of dancing and tapping on them is early math skills and things like that. What
Yeah.
solutions do you have? So let's start from the very beginning. I've just had my baby. I'm not planning to go back to work. This child is going to be, at least right now, they're not going to work, right? So what foundations can I even lay? What solutions do you have for the homeschooling families?
Okay. So we have on Saturdays in our centers, we run what we call the Boogie Babies session. Boogie Babies and Mummies. Okay. And this is the early years music and movement. It's for an hour. You come with your kid. Every term we theme it. Okay. So we've just finished our term traveling around the world. And there's a core song which is called a song for the term, which the children get to know really well. We have some anchor songs that we use every week that your kids get to know really well. Some of these songs you can even build into your routine at home. Okay,
Mm,
become part of your life.
mm.
So Boogie Babies and Mummies is held in our studios in Ikoyi and in Ikeja on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock.
What age?
We
How old are the boogie babies?
this from 6 months.
Okay.
So as soon as the baby can sit up,
Okay.
you can
Okay.
come. As soon as the baby can sit up, you can come.
Okay.
And everything that we talked about in terms of turn taking, singing, rhythmic moving to music, listening and responding for cues in the music, all of that is built in right from there. And it's just amazing to see the baby's eyes light up. They can't
Right.
speak, but
I
they're
know.
very
I know. I've
vocal.
experienced that. Yes.
Yeah,
And
it,
is
it
there
is
is there an
really
upper limit in the age that is allowed for boogie babies?
so it's Boogie Babies and Kids. So we will take
Okay.
children, yeah, we will take children up to about 5.
Okay.
Um, Sometimes, but it's rare. We may have slightly older children who are operating in a younger space because of developmental delays. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
typically by the time they are 4, 5 years old, they're ready to move on to the next program.
To the next program. Okay.
Yeah. Boogie Babies is also available online. So if you
Okay.
wanted to have the session at home, we have professionally recorded sessions that you can
Okay.
enjoy with your baby at home. Okay.
Right. Right.
And so you can create your own session, and just sign in, and all the songs and everything are there, and you just have a lovely time with your
Okay.
baby.
That sounds nice.
It
So
is
is
very
this like a one-on-one? Do I see a human being leading the
no,
session, or
it's
we just listen?
pre-recorded. It's pre-recorded, so you do have the leader, obviously, but it's a recording. However, if you wanted to join the live sessions virtually, you can do that as well.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me take this again. So two locations, Ikoyi and VI, physical
Ikoyi and
sessions.
Ikeja. Ikoyi
Oh,
and
I'm
Ikeja.
sorry, Ikoyi and Ikeja. Yes, Ikoyi and
Mm.
Ikeja,
Yeah.
physical sessions,
Hmm.
online virtual sessions with a group of people,
Yeah.
and then professionally recorded sessions where
On
it's just
demand.
you, and it can
Just you.
be, at your own convenience.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the
okay,
professional recorded sections work for schools. Maybe, we can't go to them, they're too far away, than another state or whatever. They can use that, and we can train the staff on how to use that as a resource, or you can
okay,
use it at home with the kids. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Okay.
All right. So is
So
there a program? Is there a start, finish, stop? Or I mean, so like for the professionally recorded sessions, for example,
yeah.
I have to start from episode 1, 2, 3, etc. And does it
Okay.
progress
So
in that
yeah,
manner?
so we always offer a bunch of so you get 12 weeks. Okay.
12 weeks.
So
Wow.
you get 12
Okay.
weeks. Yeah, you got 12 weeks per bundle. So that's how we record them. And it's around the theme. Okay. So for example, we have colors. One of the theme is colors. So there's a particular song that will feature every week in every single recording. And then each week there's a particular theme, a particular
Okay.
color for that session.
Okay.
So again, we try and make sure that there are cross-curricular links in what we do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So your children can learn colors that way. We have another module that is sounds around us, and every week we're listening for a different sound that we would find in our environment. Listen to identify it, name it, that kind of a thing. The coloring sheets that's linked to the theme.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's
so all of that
nice.
is available on the platform. And
Nice.
some people do both. Some people will do the on demand and the either come in person or join the online
Join the
session.
online one. Yes. So
I
and then
think
for the
we have to be
on-demand
very
one.
creative because of COVID. We have to be
Yes,
creative
I
because of
know,
COVID.
and
Yeah,
honestly, I hated it, but I love it because of all the different products that have come out of it
yeah,
and the different options that we now have.
yeah,
I mean, how many people are going to be able to travel? You're thinking, okay, yes, I'm on the island, I'm on the mainland, but it's still quite a distance for some people.
it-
And I was just about to ask that for the on-demand one, do you recommend that families stick to the weekly, to doing the sessions weekly, or it's for 12 weeks? Can I turn it into 12 days?
yes, you can. It's absolutely
Like,
up to you. Yeah, it's
okay.
up to you. It's up to you how you do it. And children benefit from repetition. The only
Yes,
thing
it
I
is.
want to say is that please don't make the mistake of treating this like a YouTube show or a cartoon that you just stick your child in
Mm.
front of and you wave them goodbye.
And you wave and go. You have to
You
participate.
do it. You have to do it, even if it's the first time, okay? Do it with your child because they get meaning out of the meaning you put into it.
Right.
They are
Right.
designed to be done with an adult.
Mm.
Okay, it is not a passive, oh, it's playing, let just have them to entertain the kid. Okay, it isn't for that. It's meant to be consumed with an adult. Some of the songs in there are partner songs. You have to do the action with a partner. You understand? And so it's really great for bonding with your baby. It's really super great for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I've had, over the years, especially in the UK, um, moms who are struggling maybe with postnatal depression, they have attachment
Mm.
issues with the baby, they're struggling to bond. Coming to those sessions have really helped them to overcome some of those emotional difficulties. Okay.
Right.
So I really recommend them for it's got benefits for the baby, it's got benefits for the mom. I
For the
mean, a
mother.
lot of moms would say this is the highlight of our week, music day.
I
And and
remember.
and some of them, the children almost they can't tell the time, they can't read the clock. But when it's music morning, they know. Their eyes open there, they go, Mommy
Open up.
music, Mommy music.
Mm.
No,
Yes.
today has to
They
be
know.
music.
Yep. Yep.
And it's such an amazing gift to give to your kid. You with them for what? 30 minutes, whatever. It's a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
precious time. And the best thing about those sessions is that I say that childhood is a gift to the parent because your child is not going to remember that
Mm.
perfect interaction. You will. You will hold it in your heart forever. You understand me? But they're
Okay.
not necessarily going to remember, that day when I did, they're going to
Music.
enjoy it in the moment, and it helps build up the emotional health and everything else, but the details will get hazy. You're the one that will think back and look back on those days with clarity. and think, oh, that was so wonderful,
That was
you know?
wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. So what else do you have? So that's Boogie Babies.
So that's Boogie Babies.
Children
That's really,
ages six
yeah,
months to, about 4 to 5 years, or
yeah,
until they're ready to move into something
until they're
else.
ready to move on to something else. Yeah.
So children
So
who
for
can
me,
sit up, children who can
yeah,
grab something maybe,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then, maybe hit a
yeah,
drum, maybe hold on to a
yeah,
maracas or something. Okay.
yes,
All right.
exactly,
What else do you
exactly.
have?
We use child-sized instruments, so it's easy for them. Once they are about age 4 and they can concentrate for about 15 minutes, we move we move them on to piano pals. We use
Okay.
the piano in our studio as a starting instrument for music literacy,
Okay.
because the piano is essentially a percussion instrument. You just bang it. You hit it, you make a sound. You don't have to hold it in a particular way. Your hands don't have to be a particular size. Do you understand? It's so much easier to achieve success on a keyboard, on a piano keyboard, than it is on anything else for little hands.
Okay.
So what they've done, the percussion based, and with the percussion, we're teaching them a lot of rhythm. So we're trying to get their rhythm skills. By the time my early years girls are handing the children over to me, I'm expecting a certain degree of rhythmic ability in those children. Yeah,
Rhythmic ability.
rhythmic
Interesting.
ability. Yeah, that should, if they've been in the program long enough, they will be able to keep a beat. They'll be able to clap in time. They'll be able to recognize changes in rhythm, that kind of thing. Fantastic foundation for pre-reading piano. So Piano Pals is a group piano program for 4 and 5-year-olds.
Okay.
So we start to play, we start to introduce them to the musical symbols. When they on the staff yet. Okay, so they're not trying to work out on the staff what the music is. It's still a little bit pre-reading, but a lot of those rhythm symbols that they have learned in the Boogie Babies, we're now attaching it to the piano to sound. So we're putting letters next to it, and you can look at the rhythm. You already know what the rhythm is saying, and now you know that it's now also linked to a particular key. So now you're learning the keyboard geography.
Okay.
You're learning to associate what letters go with what key. Then it's a letter next to rhythm. You can replicate that rhythm on the correct key. Okay. So that is the next stage, and we call that Piano Pals. It's a pre-reading music program. Also with Piano Pals, we teach a lot of songs by rote. So before we introduce rhythm, before we introduce reading rather, they're learning to play mostly on the black keys. Mary Had a Little Lamb, Twinkle Twinkle, all these favorites.
On the black keys?
On
or the white keys? Oh, really?
On the black keys.
And
we teach white key versions of them as well, but we start them off on the black keys. So they learn, I think we've got 24 tunes on the black keys. Well-known nursery rhymes that they learn first on the black keys, just using their, 2 fingers. Why?
Can I ask why? I was just going to say why.
They don't have the mobility in their fingers to be able to do this yet.
Right.
Their tendons haven't developed. Their cartilage hasn't joined up. It's physically impossible to get certain children at a certain age to do this on a keyboard. It's just, it's
when we say you're 4 come and start piano, we're just punishing them, eh?
Not necessarily punishing them. It's just that there's a way to do it. Right. Do you understand? There's a way to do it. You have to accommodate for where they are physically, where they are emotionally, where they are cognitively. There's different ways, different approach, and it depends on the child. And then, so there's an overlap with Boogie Babies and Piano Pals. Piano Pals, we can start at 3/4, okay? And then when they're ready, and it differs for each child, then they go to the pre-reading. Now, the pre-reading is best for smaller groups or one-on-ones, maybe pairs or threes. Do you understand?
So, sorry, before we go to pre-reading, so Piano Pals, how does that happen? Is that into your studio? Is it online?
So
what options do we have?
It's both. It's available online, and it's also available in the studio. So on a typical morning, especially because of the overlap, children within the age group will do Piano Pals first, and then they have Boogie Babies afterwards. Okay, so children who are borderline in terms of age will do both, and they enjoy both. You can't offer a 6-month-old or a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old piano pals. They're too young.
They're too young. Okay.
But once they are starting to hit 3.5, and they're ready for more, then they can have a session of piano pals and then Boogie Babies afterwards.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
and they still learn a lot from Boogie Babies. So there's a bit of an overlap in the programs there.
Okay.
Okay. By the time they're done with piano pals and they've graduated from, so initially the songs will teach them use only 3 keys, then they move to 5 keys, and they move to 8 keys and beyond. Once they've played through the piano pal resources, they understand the geography of the keyboard better, they can identify the keys, then they're ready for the pre-reading.
And then for piano pals remote, how does the learning happen? So first, that child needs to have a piano at home, right? They need a keyboard or a piano at home.
Or they can use a virtual piano. Or they can use a virtual piano.
Okay, do you encourage those? Do those help? Are they?
So because we are not yet working on this.
I see.
Right?
I see what you mean.
I would do it for piano pals. I wouldn't do it for beyond them.
For beyond them. I see what you mean.
But because we're focusing on keyboard geography and understanding where the keys are in relation to one another, you can do it on a piece of paper. It's just not going to make a sound. You understand? Yeah. So you can use an app on your device, or you can use a virtual piano on your laptop.
Okay. Interesting. Piano geography, just understanding where everything is.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So piano pals, and then
we go on to funky piano.
Funky piano. Okay.
Funky piano. That is a pre-reading program. Okay, and that is the so we have, if I can find it, we have curriculum starts from foundation all the way through to advanced. Okay, so piano pals, funky piano is a foundation level. Okay, and we have a structured for piano. We have a structured series of resources that we use. Okay, so they're leveled. All right. And so the very beginning is funky piano. Once they're done with that, they could then take their very first music exam.
Interesting.
Okay, it's aimed at 3 to 6 year olds, and it's early learning exams with the London College of Music. Okay, because of COVID, all the exams are available online, which is amazing. And so we can help prepare the children to take the first if you want. And what I try to make parents understand is that we don't teach to the exam. Okay.
Sorry, can you say that again? We don't need to.
Excuse me. We don't teach to the exam.
Sorry. 2 seconds, please.
Don't worry.
Sorry about that.
So this is what I wanted to show you.
Okay.
This is our piano program, and we start here in the yellow with our early beginners. And
the Boogie
on
Babies.
the other side, you can see the sort of assessment that they could take if you want. Okay. So we start from foundation all the way to advanced. Okay.
Wow.
So there's a structure in place. Right. The exam is not the reason why we're doing it. Okay. So I just want to be very clear. I'm interested in developing the musician and developing your skills, because that is what is going to benefit you long term. If you're only working because of an exam, you're going to fall into the trap of cramming.
Cramming. I was going to say, you put it in, you do the exam, and you forget. That's what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me. Yes. You're
therefore as good as being illiterate, because you cannot function at that level. You understand me? So we kind of flip it on its head. We will teach and teach and teach as much repertoire, as much skills as are necessary to make you a solid musician. When they're comfortable that, yes, this kid, and we do assessments twice a year internally before we even send you to do anything externally. Once we're confident that, okay, this kid has a very solid and stable set of skills, we'll then say, okay, if you want, you can get an outside examiner to rubber stamp that
Right.
and give you an official recognition of where you're operating.
Where you're operating. Got it. Got it.
You understand me? So
And
exams are a useful tool to validate the learning. So it gives parents a confidence. It gives parents a confidence that, okay,
yeah,
somebody else agrees with you. It's not just
agrees
us
with you
saying,
that you're good.
yeah.
Exactly. I know.
It's not just
And
us
this is
saying,
really,
your child is good.
yes, yes. This is really important. This is really important, especially for homeschooling families, because we're not in the system where, others are being assessed, where music is one of the subjects in the curriculum. So it's a question of how do I even know that what you're doing is for your age and your level? So this is really helpful. So it's possible to do even international exams online,
Yes.
and then be quote unquote certified for your level of musicability.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. All right. Interesting. I have a question. So when you're meeting a child for the first time, do you do an assessment of sorts?
Yeah, we do. It depends on the child's history. So the first thing we want to find out is their history. If they've had no prior music learning, then we start them from the beginning. And we have different beginning places depending on the age. So I wouldn't use the same resources I use for my 4 and 5 year olds with a 6 or 7 or 8 year old beginner. It would be totally inappropriate. So we have an adult beginner, we have completely different resources we use for you. So there are age appropriate resources depending on how old you are. Okay? As a complete beginner. If you're coming to us with prior experience, we would find out what have you done in your history? Have you done any exams and at what level? Okay. And then we try and benchmark your skills. So we'll bring you in. We did some assessments today, for example. It takes typically between an hour to an hour and a half. And we go over different areas and we just try and gauge where you're at. Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? Then we come up with a program that is tailored for your particular situation. So everybody who's coming to us with prior musical knowledge would have an initial assessment. We call it a baseline assessment, and it helps us to then work out where we place them on this grade.
On the chart.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's possible that, and we see this even with our children, okay, it's possible that in terms of your playing, you're at one level, in terms of your reading or your understanding of theoretical concepts, you're at another level.
Another level.
Nigeria, we love book. Our children are good with it. Many of our kids will do beautifully well in theory exams, but realizing what they know, they're not at the same. So their head knowledge is far superior to what they can execute. Why is that? Playing any instrument is a motor skill. It's like riding a bicycle. It's like driving a car. You can think about driving a car all you like until you sit behind the wheel and actually begin to move the gears and press the pedals. That head knowledge is not helping you.
It's nothing. And you can pass all the exams. You can pass all the written tests. Know all the road signs and things. Yeah.
You can get 100%. You can recognize all the road signs. But until you're physically doing feeling where the bite is for those of us that learned on manual, and all of that, and not stalling the car and all of that stuff. Until you're physically doing it, and you will need lots of practice. Until you do that, you can't. It's like a pilot. Who is going to say to a pilot that, okay, because you passed all your theory exams, go and fly your Boeing 747?
Take these 300 people across the Atlantic.
Yes, that's fine, right? Okay. But our parents don't seem to get that. And so we get a lot of, but he's been learning for so long and he can't play anything. I'm like, okay. So from the minute the teacher leaves your house,
how much practice do you get?
What is happening in between? Otherwise, your child is moving at the pace of the last lesson. That is if that's the only input they're getting, that is the rate at which they will progress. There is no magic anybody can do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And prolonging the music lesson with the teacher doesn't necessarily help, because
no, it doesn't.
If they're done in 30 minutes and you're saying, because you're not going to have time to practice, let's cram it all into an hour. It's not helping. Oh, wow.
Okay, so our lessons are typically an hour. I don't like doing less than that.
Okay, so that was just an example, but explain.
Exactly.
That's helpful.
Yeah. So we get that a lot. We say that, okay, how many times a week should we have lessons? And so you're paying for practice sessions. Because I'm like, your kid doesn't need more than one session a week, provided they're putting in the time to practice. If they're not putting in the time to practice, then you can have a lesson every day. But that lesson is going to be practice time. Because the teacher cannot move beyond. They can show you the next thing until you've mastered where we're coming from. Okay. With knowledge, a lot of people build one on top of the other. Okay. So having multiple lessons a week might help in that you're practicing with the kid. Okay. But it's not like the kid is learning something new every time.
Every time.
You have to have this lesson.
So you might as well save your coins and just build the discipline of practicing on your own.
Honestly, if you want your child to be good in music, you need a whole system in the house. It's actually, you need a whole system, a support system at home, where you haven't relegated the instrument to the dingiest corner of the house, far away from everybody because it's noisy. You're giving the kid the wrong impression. You're giving the impression that music is something that is inferior, is problematic. You understand me? I know we all are.
I can't stand the recorder. Oh my goodness! I'm like, don't play that recorder near me.
So guess what? The kid is not incentivized to spend time on it.
Oh wow!
You understand me?
I never even thought about. I never thought about that effect.
Think about it. Think about it. Especially young children. All they want to do is to make mommy and daddy happy. The majority of young children, their reason for existence is to have mommy smile. Okay.
Yes.
Whatever they can do to make you smile. If that smile is linked, and that's so if it's linked to the piano and playing something beautiful on the piano, guess what? They will put in work in it. But if the piano or the recorder or the guitar is an instrument of torture, a source of argument, and a
noisy instruments, don't call it something that disturbs you, because they're looking to please you. So if they realize that thing doesn't please you, then they don't want to put in the effort. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. Even I have learned a big one today. I'm corrected.
Okay. Because the beginning of the instrument is torture on your ears, for sure. Yeah. Violin, recorder, even piano, when they're playing the same thing over and over again, you think you're going to go mad. So it's not easy. I get that. But if you decide in your heart that, okay, we're going to give this, the next two to 5 years, this is what we want to focus on, then please make room for it. Make room for it. Celebrate it.
Okay, great. So I think for me that the key thing is first coming to the takeaways, for those of us, homeschooling families being the primary focus, is understanding the importance of the foundation of music and just knowing that it's not a waste of time. When you subscribe as young as 6 months old, or even younger, when you're holding the baby and just doing rhythm and moving with them.
You know what you did and what I did when we were pregnant, that is where it stops. Because a baby can hear you from
in vitro,
5 months,
so straight from the womb. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So in vitro, play music, different rhythms, Mozart, classical music, jazz, reggae, whatever it is.
Sing. Use your voice, because that is what baby can hear the loudest is your voice.
They can hear.
Because your voice is what is echoing inside you.
So
just sing. And your baby doesn't know that you can't sing. Your baby just knows that's my
mommy.
I love
and I can hear something. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So focusing on just starting early, and then I think this is the first time I'm going to hear the structure and progress of music, and I think that this is quite impressive. So I like the fact that there's even an assessment, and the fact that someone is coming to you at an older age doesn't mean they will start from the beginning. It just means that they will use a different tool, right? So you go through a quote unquote program, and people can still do international exams. People can still be recognized internationally and become certified even from the comfort of their home. you have programs for people who, for families that have time on the weekend. But the thing about us homeschooling families is we don't want to go out on the weekends because we know everybody's out on the weekends. So please, you need to look for solutions for us where we can come to your studio in the
We do
mornings, on the
weekdays.
weekdays.
Yeah, we do weekdays. Absolutely.
Oh,
Home
fantastic.
families that want to come the weekdays, we're open because our weekdays
Fantastic.
are very quiet, except when we're going to school. Our weekdays are very quiet. So,
Quiet. Okay.
yeah, so we tend to do adults in the mornings.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And some schools. But you know, if you're a homeschooling mom and you have your schedule and you say, okay, this is going to be a music day, come to us. We'll help you. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's helpful. I'm watching my clock because this thing, it will just tell me your life is over. The live program is ended or whatever it is. But so thank you so very much, and please, anyone watching now or later, if you want your child to be interested in an instrument, don't call it a noisemaker because I've learned and I've taken correction. You can choose, make the conscious effort not to be there whilst they're playing, or just, you know,
if it's a piano, get a headphone.
Or you can use those discreet ones so they don't think that you're trying to block them out. Use those ones that they can't see.
No, I mean the children use a headphone when they're practicing. If it's on a piano that has a jack.
I see. Put the jack in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Exactly. Okay. So thank you so much. I thoroughly appreciate this. This is gold. And great to know that even as home educating families, we can still have the option of developing the love and skill of music in our children. Thank you for all that you have shared with us today. I will be in touch. I definitely need you know, we've done our music in a way, but I just thought. I think that my first experience of Kumbi's Music Company is what I think it is, right? So the baby and toddler class where they just came and they were playing the drums. But now I'm very well educated, and thank you for sharing all of this.
Early years is our roots, and it's always going to be a big part of what we do because that's my roots. Okay.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Up to adults. A lot of parents take lessons with us.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Let me get off now and save this live so that we can have access to it later. Bye everybody. Thank you all for joining. Trust this has been helpful. Thank you, ma'am. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.